Hello, everybody. This is Robert People, and you are listening to People's Court. Thank you for tuning in. More than 2 months off. Sorry for leaving you all like that. All is well. Hope everything is well with you. Also, with all this going on, with everything taking place, hope you all are being safe, doing okay. Stay exercising social distancing, staying in if you're able to, wearing your mask if possible, and so on. So hope everybody's okay. Today is Monday, July 27, 2020. And today, what's on my mind is this. And let me know, of course, as always, chime in, let me know what you've seen in this. But in regard to the athletes, because now baseball has started. Baseball and a shortened schedule has began, but they recently had their opening days within the last few days, I believe it was. And before each game, the entire whole teams are taking a knee on the field in support of Black Lives Matter and everything else that's wrong with this country in regard to race. But every team has done this from my understanding so far. And of course, we know this began in 2016 with former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, the first time he took a knee to protest the national anthem and the racist tone behind it, the racist words behind, I believe it's the second stanza. But anyway, what are some things we've heard? Let's talk about what some of the things we've heard in response to this by the people who object to it. They've said things like, I don't want to see this. They need to protest on their own time. Why are they doing it now? What else? Oh, if they hate America so much, they need to leave. They should be thankful that they can live here and make all these millions of dollars. Oh, they're not oppressed. What else do we have? Not American. Did I say that one already? You're not American. Everything is not American these days. But you're not a real American if you have it. Disrespectful to veterans. As a veteran myself, I find that one funny. We forget that a veteran actually told Colin Kaepernick, or he suggested that Colin Kaepernick do this. But anyway, we hear all these things. Every excuse in the world as far as why these athletes should not protest the national anthem in the manner they did. Oh, the do it on your own time. I especially love that one. Protest on your own time. We know why that is. It's because they're uncomfortable. And it's like, do it in such a way where I can't see it. And those people need to understand what protest means. But, there we have it. So we've heard all these things. And there's probably quite a few that you could add that I haven't mentioned. But these are all the things we've heard. You know what we haven't heard, however? Or at least as far as I'm concerned, what I have not heard much of, I haven't heard it at all. But let me say that again. Let me rephrase that. I personally have not heard this, but I'm pretty sure maybe people have said. You might have heard one or two people say this. But the majority of folks have not said this, those who object. What we haven't heard is this. The anthem is not racist. I cannot recall, I say this again, I cannot recall a time, just from my own experience, I cannot recall a time where someone has said it's not racist. They have issues with how protesting is going on, who's doing the protesting. Let's not forget Sons of Bitches by the quote unquote president. That was said too about this. But the anthem is not racist. As far as I'm concerned, hasn't been said. So what does that mean? What does that mean that there's all this said about the anthem? The anthem is being protested because of because of it being written to glorify slavery. That is clear. So how come so many people are objecting to everything but not saying straight up, hey, hold up, it's not racist? What do you mean? It would be nonsense. It would be total BS. But we're not even getting that part. That part's not even being objected to. Now let's look at the Quaker Oats Company with Aunt Jemima. Now, this company straight up said that Aunt Jemima has racist roots. That's the picture they use. It has racist roots to it. I don't have the whole history, but they've straight up said that it is. I'm not aware if someone came and brought it to their attention or because of the things going on and the tensions we have, the racial tensions we have in this country has led to that, to them understanding that or wanting to really look at that. But at any rate, they've said this straight up. And what have people said? They're boycotting, not buying that product anymore. People are whining about it. Most of us have gotten to the point where we're like, hey, whatever. I have Aunt Jemima products in my pantry right now. And most of us have just said, okay. So, people are crybabies, they've said, all this and everything under the sun. But who's coming along to say it's not racist? Nobody said that I've heard, again. And my experience is not everybody else's. I'm one individual. So if it's happened out there, just because I haven't heard doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's just that I personally have not seen or heard it myself. But people aren't saying it's not racist. They're saying, essentially, yeah, it is, so what? And the last one I'll mention, because I'm sure there's more, but the last one I'll mention is the Redskins. The team, the Washington NFL team, formerly known as the Redskins. And if you're not aware, they've abandoned the name. Washington's football team is no longer called the Redskins. It has been stated that Redskins is a derogatory Native American term. And this is not, and it happened this year, but this is not the first time it was brought up. My understanding, it's been going on for years as far as there being a push to do something about the name. The NFL's stupid. Here's the responses, The NFL's stupid. I'm not watching anymore. Oh, and that paired up with the national anthem and the kneeling and so forth. Oh, yeah, I'm boycotting. I hope the NFL loses money. The NFL is garbage. They're saying everything. Again, no one's saying that it's not true. They're just objecting to the fact that people are protesting it. What does that tell you? Yeah, it's racism. So what? Yes, it's racist. So what? Yes, it's racist. Big deal. Yes, it's racist. What's the problem? Yes, it's racist. Why are you fussing now? Yes, it's racist. Why are you crying? This is what's coming. This is what's part of all this. Right? This is where we are now. Our church had someone come by, and I need to put this one out there too. Our church had someone come by a few weeks ago. And I'm ready. And the day was great. It was the day started off wonderfully. I got some good, did some good reading, spent time with our church men's group, and, things were okay. Things were great. But this gentleman came. They invited someone there. This isn't somebody who normally preaches or even speaks there, but gentleman came there, and he basically gave a history lesson. There was no word. There was no Bible word there. It was a history lesson about the racism our country is experiencing and had experienced. But it wasn't about racism. It was mainly about all the stuff that's not racist. And not in the sense of saying that it doesn't exist, but just saying, yeah, it's racist over here, but look over here. That's essentially what it came to. Let me quickly go through. He largely spoke about the protesting and the rioting and looting, of course. Now, they're all separate, but to help the narrative, it's easier to just put it all together. The same ones who stand with signs, out of everybody's way are put in the same category as those throwing bricks through glass windows, setting things on fire. They're put in the same category by people who, want to keep the narrative going that everybody's out to try to destroy everything. But anyway, with these statues taken down, where the individuals they depict have been known to be racist, owned slaves, so on and so forth. He really spoke a lot about that. Well, yeah, people are saying it's racism, but you know what? And then he would go into all this about what these people didn't do or they did that wasn't racist. At one point he said, well, these statues have been up all this time and no one said anything. So are we to believe that only this generation got it right? That was his explanation. That was his way of starting off. What it eventually amounted to, he said things like, and this bothered me. I'm going to be honest about it. He essentially said that this is not about going against racism. This is about people hating America. Which, sitting in church, that's the last thing that was totally inappropriate. Especially when I'm sitting down and expecting a word. Yeah, he threw some Bible verses in there, but that was it. To summarize what I saw, only what I looked at, and my family and I all watched this together, but what I saw was simply, yeah, racism is this. No, I'm sorry. First it was, no, it wasn't that bad. Or it didn't exist. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that much. Yeah, this person's racist, but they did this other stuff. And then near the end, he came back with, well, yeah, it's racist here, but it's so much worse other places. So this is where we are. This is where we are with all this. It's racist, but so what? It's racist, but look over here. It's racist in this area, but not over here in this other area. And it's disturbing. And I say this again, it's not as though if people did say all these things, if people did say, oh, nobody's racist and all that, it would make anybody feel better, or it would be better if they said that. But the simple fact that the responses to it, nowhere that I've noticed, nowhere does it include, it's not racist. Now, if you're accused of something pretty heavy, shouldn't the fact that you didn't do it, if you didn't do it, shouldn't that be among the first things you say? And no, it doesn't mean that when people accuse you of something, the burden is on you. The burden is on you to make sure it's known that you didn't do it. The burden of proof is always on the accuser, not the accusee. Because in that case, people can run around accusing people of everything. You don't get to accuse people of something, then they got to prove they didn't do it. That's not how it works. Our justice system doesn't say it that way. If someone brings a complaint forward, that person has to do the proving. It's not, hey, this person did this. Imagine court being like that. Imagine court being like that when someone just says, hey, Your Honor, your judgeship or whatever. This person blew up my house. And then the judge looks at the defendant and says, hey, explain yourself. How many people will get in trouble when that's the case? No, you come in saying they blew your house up. You got to come and prove that it happened. And then the defendant defends the accusations brought forth. But that should come out at some point, at some point in all this, that you didn't do it, right? I'll wrap up with this. There's only one reason to have an issue with the protesting of events or situations that are straight up racist, that are admittedly racist. There's only one reason to protest it. Think about, let's say, for example, you take your kids, there's a daycare center that you take your kids to. And, one of the head of the daycare says, we're firing this individual because, he's a known child molester. Charged with, that it actually happened. Not, that they're accused of it, somebody thought anything like that. No, but a straight up child molester. Now, if I'm taking my child to that daycare center, and anybody, I think we would be okay with that, right? If you're telling me this guy's a child molester and you're getting rid of him, hey, cool. What reason, and I would like to believe most people would say the same, what reason will someone have to object to them doing that? We're not saying this guy is innocent. We're not saying somebody accused him of it. And we all know that the person who accused him has no credibility and all. I'm not saying all that. I'm saying they straight up say he's a child molester, charged with it, guilty, all this and that. There's only one reason, as far as I'm concerned, one, where people would object to something like that. And that is if they are okay with child molestation. That is it. If these individuals are not racist, if you're not a racist person, there is no way you would have that kind of anger about companies saying we're getting rid of this racist logo, about a football team saying we're getting rid of our racist logo, about a song, I don't care how long we've been singing it, but about a song that has racist words in it, a song that is known to have been written to glorify slavery. There is no reason, if you are not racist, that you would have that big of a problem with that. And again, this national anthem, it's so funny because most people don't even care about the national anthem. I've been to sporting events many times, and most of the time people are running around outside when the anthem is playing. People are messing with their phones, and I'm talking about adults. I'm not talking about kids and all this. The same ones doing this fussing, these 30, 40, 50-year-olds, they're the ones doing this stuff. People aren't all standing with hands over their hearts and just erect at the position of attention and all that. They're doing everything under the sun. And when you sit at home, the anthem isn't played on TV like that. Most of the time they skip over it. We come in at the very end of it or whatever the case is. And folks surely are not sitting at home. They're not at the house standing up at attention, hand over their heart and everything. People aren't doing that at the house. So for this portion of this game or these events that you're not even watching under normal circumstances, you're objecting to someone doing something to protest what? Racism? To the point that you want this organization to fail because of it? You're that angry? You're not a racist individual, right? You're not racist, but you're that angry about them saying, you know what? We're not going to let this stand. I don't like to throw around that people are racist straight up. But what the heck, what other reason, what other justification, what other explanation is there? Unless I personally am okay with it, I'm not going to go that crazy. I am not going to go that crazy over you getting rid of something that has that type of background, that has that type of history, that has those roots to it. Yes, it's racist. So what? That's where we are in 2020. Racist is the only explanation there is. You would have no problem with it. If you are not racist, you don't have a problem with someone getting rid of something that's racist. You got a problem with them getting rid of it, that means you're okay with the racism. You're a racist yourself or you support it. That is all there is to it. This is Robert People. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for coming to People's Court. I will be back here again Wednesday, same time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll have a good day and take care. Be safe.